Hi guys, welcome back. So today we've got this MK5 GTI ED30 in for some handling upgrades and a shifter upgrade. Before we jump into it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, also notification bell, then you won't miss some of our new videos go live. So handling upgrade wise, we're installing a Wavetrac limited slip differential. So these cars from the factory obviously have that open differential, being a front wheel drive platform with a lot of power and torque. And wanting to use a car for like performance use, the open differential really sort of like limits performance and also enjoyment as well. So installing the Wavetrac diff. At the same time as that, we're going to be installing some Verkline parts. So installing Verkline front arms, so it's adding in caster and camber adjustment where there is none from the factory. And then on the rear, we're installing the Verkline toe and camber arms as well. So adding in more adjustment than is available from the factory. And then all of those parts as well are solid mounted as well. So spherical bushings or metal mountings throughout. So completely removes any of the factory bushes where there's a lot of deflection. And then also we're installing a Coolerworx shifter. So similar to like a CAE shifter, you've got the Coolerworx shifter. So it makes the shift pattern a lot smaller in every direction, like front, back, left and right, as well as raises the shifter up a bit as well. So it's in a more ergonomic position from taking your hand off the steering wheel to the shifter as well. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to get the car in the workshop. We're going to have all the parts out and talk you through them. So we'll see you inside in a minute. Okay, so we've got the MK5 GTI ED30 up on the ramps behind us, starting to remove some of the standard parts, and we've got all of the upgrades laid out here in front of us. So I'm just going to talk you through them before we get them fitted. So obviously installing Verkline handling upgrades, Wavetrac diff and the Coolerworx shifter. So working my way from right to left, we've got the Verkline front lower control arms. So these lower control arms replace the factory control arms and add in adjustment of camber and caster on the front axle. So from the factory, the camber and caster isn't adjustable, you can only adjust the toe. So obviously if you're going out on track days, you're installing sort of like semi-slick tires, stuff like that, you really want to be increasing the front camber and then also adjusting the camber to what you like as well. Additional bonus of these arms as well, you've got the spherical bearings. So these replace where all the factory rubber bushings would be. And what this does is basically no deflection from these front arms anymore, which would be related to the factory rubber bushes or even like polyurethane bushes. So the geometry that you set throughout the corner will be consistent from these arms. And obviously you've got a finer level adjustment there as well. And then Verkline also supplies some nice dust boots as well to improve the longevity of them. And then here we've got the rear camber and toe arms. So these ones are the rear camber arms. So the factory items, you do have a reasonable amount of camber adjustment on these, but these camber arms add in a whole lot more camber adjustment. So what happens is when you lower the cars at the rear, it generally goes out of spec and you can't bring it back into spec. So with these arms that have a high degree of range in the factory items, you can really dial in the rear camber to what you want it to be. And then also you've got the benefit of the spherical bushes as opposed to the rubber bushes that we spoke about a second ago. And then you've got the rear toe links as well. Again, when you lower the cars, generally they go out a little bit out of spec. So with more of an adjustment range and spherical bushes, you can really dial in the geometry to what you want, and it will also keep it that way as well. And then we've got the Wavetrac limited slip differential. These cars from the factory have an open differential. Open differentials, especially on front wheel drive cars, really kill the driving enjoyment. So what happens with a open differential is when one wheel loses grip and begins to freely spin, all the power is sent to that freely spinning wheel. And obviously if you want to accelerate the car and you're wasting all the power going to the freely spinning wheel, you're not going to accelerate particularly very quickly. And on front wheel drive cars, it's especially noticeable coming out of corners when you try and apply the power, and either traction control aggressively intervenes to sort of like maintain traction, or if you've got traction control off, you'll feel like the car is just understeering. So with the Wavetrac LSD fitted, it automatically biases power to the wheel with the most amount of grip. So coming out of corners where you'd usually feel understeer, you'll feel as though the car actually wants to pull you through and round the corner, so the front end feels a lot better. And then obviously straight line acceleration is a lot better as well, because you're using both wheels as opposed to mainly just one wheel. And then the traction control intervention is a lot less as well, because you're making the most out of the available grip that's there. Obviously, the Wavetrac differential does what it does with the automatic torque biasing a lot better than all the other diffs on the market. It's a lot better for obviously road use and then like a track day car as well. Other ATB differentials, gear and pinion differentials like the Wavetrac have the same issue, whereby as soon as you experience a loss of axle load, which is like wheel slip, cornering heavily, and you unload the suspension or lift a wheel, which is obviously all common scenarios when you're driving a car quickly, they perform like an open diff. So the Wavetrac has a patented device in the center which creates internal load in those situations, so it can still function in those situations, whereas all the other diffs on the market that are ATBs won't be able to do that. So the Wavetrac is sort of like the best of all worlds, really. Obviously installing some upgraded oil, refreshing all the bearings and all that kind of stuff. And then we've also got the Coolerworx short shifter here as well. So the Coolerworx shifter, basically it raises the shift knob up a little bit higher, so your hand is off the steering wheel for a little bit less time. All of the factory sort of like parts that have play in them, sort of like the bushes, like the plastic pieces and things like that, are completely eliminated for all metal parts, so the shift feels a lot better. And then also the shift pattern from left to right as well as front to back is a lot smaller as well, so it's a lot easier to sort of like find the gear that you want to find and find it a lot faster, a lot more satisfying to change through the gears as well. So with that short throw and a short from side to side. So yeah, going to get all these parts fitted to the car and hope you enjoy the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch other videos of ours that YouTube thinks you'll like, then click up here. If you'd like to watch some other videos that we have in the same playlist, then click here. And obviously if you enjoyed the video, then we really appreciate if you gave us a subscription. And then obviously you'll be updated when other videos of ours go live, and you can do that quite easily by clicking here. Hope to see you soon.